Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. And I want to say Shalom, Yakmanakwat out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. This one's titled, Having Everything in the World Just Wasn't Enough for Eve. And this, of course, is inspired through the Holy Spirit through a Instagram reel that I happened to come across. Now, I'm unfamiliar with who the people on this podcast are, although I am familiar with its content that is posted, because I have previously watched this. I had this for like a day or two. Then when I saw it, I said I definitely want to make a lesson on that at some point. So we're gonna go ahead and let it roll. We're gonna play it and see how it goes. And fire warning, for you disobedient women, you ungodly women, it's probably gonna be a lesson that you don't want to watch. All right. So the obedient women definitely will not have a problem with it, but the disobedient ones will sure get out of line. All right. So here you go.
I learned a lot about women. I think I learned exactly how the fall of man occurred in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and Adam said one day, wow, Eve, here we are, at one with nature, at one with God. We'll never age, we'll never die, and all our dreams come true the instant that we have them. And Eve said, yeah, it's just not enough, is
it? No, that's not funny.
I was just waiting for more.
So that was kind of his point.
Oh, God.
That's kind of what he was saying.
I mean,
I learned a lot about women. I think I learned exactly
I'll play it one more time.
how the fall of man occurred in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and Adam said one day, wow, Eve, here we are, at one with nature, at one with God. We'll never age, we'll never die, and all our dreams come true the instant that we have them. And Eve said, yeah, it's just not enough, is
it? No, that's not funny.
I was just waiting for more.
So that was kind of his point.
Oh, God.
That's kind of what he was saying.
So there you go. Like, we got all this. Look at all these things we got. We never age. Our wishes are granted. We're at one with the Lord. And yeah, it's just not enough, is it? That's just how Eve goes, man. And you can still see a lot of those Eve tendencies to this day. All right, because at the end of the day, there's that same person, right? And you see him. You see him. It's just never enough. All right, nothing is ever enough. The Lord gave them everything. There's just one thing. One little thing they couldn't do. Well, I won't say it's a little thing. It was a big thing, but it's one thing you couldn't do. All right? You weren't supposed to go around that tree. All right? And Eve just had to go around it. Just had to. All right? And that's with women. Enough is never enough. They just had to go there. All right? Because for a woman, having one thing unobtainable, it does something with the mind. I don't know necessarily how it goes because I'm not a woman, but I've seen it time and time again. It's you always got to have more. It's a constant lust and desire for more. You'll see a person that makes $2,000 a month. A woman will leave that man to get with a man that makes $5,000, and she'll leave that man that makes $5,000 for a man that makes $10,000, and then she'll leave that man, for a millionaire, and she'll leave that millionaire for a multi-millionaire. And she'll leave that multi-millionaire for a billionaire. And if a trillionaire comes by, well, you know what she's going to do. Because enough is never enough. All right, just jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping. Constantly has to have more because, it's a constant lust for more. And it's never enough with Eve. Now you got them saying, oh, well, cheesecake. Before it was something cheaper. Oh, it's not good for this. Then it was, oh, it's not good if he does this. Now we're at the point, oh, it's not good to go if he takes you out of cheesecake. Cheesecake is a pretty good place to eat, all right? And it's gotten worse and worse and worse with the younger generations. They've gotten completely out of hand. Their self-worth has gotten blown out of proportion. Okay, they think they deserve. You know, a lot of these women think the first date that you go out on Tinder, it needs to be $100 meal. No one's spending that. All right, if you got 5 girls you're trying to take out and see if you're into them, that'd be $500. Okay, that's ridiculous. All right, well, I should be the only one that they even talking to. Well, if you're going on dates to see what woman's a good woman, who's to say that you're that good woman? And obviously, if you need $100 or $200 for a first date, you ain't the one. You ain't the one, because you're obviously caring more about money than companionship, right? That's what you're worried about. And that's most things. Most women love their man's money or something that he has and not him himself. All right, whether it be his house, whether it's his money, or something along those lines, or they're a hoe and she likes the rod. That's the only thing it is. But they really don't care about the man too much. And soon as something new and interesting comes along, they'll jump ship. That's how it is 9 times out of 10. Not every woman's like that. The decent women aren't like that. But this world is on a severe is in a severe deficit of decent women. All right, and most of the decent women are already with decent men. Okay, so who's that leave? Eve like this, right? So it says she literally was the joke. You can't make this shit up. Some jokes just write themselves. And I'm going to a specific comment. I have it saved on my phone if it's not here, if they removed it, but showing you, trying to blame the men. Again, no accountability. It says that couldn't have gone any better. This one, now, this is I thought this was a female. Ahmed Reynolds said, I showed this to my girl and she said the same and agreed with the woman. She's so slow, she still don't get it, which proved his point twice. Let me see if I can find it. Girlfriend watching over my shoulder. I don't get it. I was waiting for more too. The joke was it. That was it. That was the joke. All right, that nothing's ever enough. You're always wanting more. You're waiting for the next thing, right? The joke wasn't enough for her. Yep, wasn't enough. Had to be more. Thousands of years and nothing's changed. Absolutely. Now I think they did remove their comment. No, oh, there was more. Let me see. Trying to find one. Yeah, here it is. I don't know if this is a woman, a man, or whatever it is, but they have this photo. And if they're a man, they're in a simp spirit. If they're a woman, well, Eve. Says, on another note, do y'all realize God, I don't want to even throw the name of Yahweh on this madness, all right? I don't want to put the Father's name on some madness, so I'll just say God as it says. On another note, did y'all realize God never told Eve not to eat from the tree? She wasn't around. It was Adam's job to relay the message. We've been blaming Eve, but it's really all on Adam. And I saved this. The next comment literally proves it. They grabbed the scripture that proves that that's a lie. It said, Genesis 3:2. Here it is. I was like, where's it at? Genesis 3:2. The woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but Yahweh did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it or you will die. She knew. She knew. I'm gonna like that again. I like that on my other page, but this is the one I use for my lessons. But yeah, man, they're trying to blame it on the man again. No, it was a woman. She knew. All right, Adam was still in transgression as well because he trusted in a woman. That's why you men need to not, trust in women, and he trusted in his woman more than he trusted in the Lord. That was his sin. Okay, that was his sin, and he ended up sinning too. But the woman was the first to sin, right? The woman was the first, because there's scriptures that talk about, through one man's sin, right, dealing with Adam. But Eve was the first to sin. Okay. She ate it and then, gave it to her man. And of course, her man didn't, Adam, all right, he was in transgression as well. Okay. He was just as wrong because he didn't, he listened to a woman. All right. And didn't really do anything about it or correct nothing. He was, really sinned through, sedentariness, like compliance. Okay, he just went along with it. Bear with me. All right, fuck, heater was being weird, but yeah, what there's a saying for it, I can't think of it, but staying silent and not saying anything, right, is bad in itself, right? And he was wicked for his compliance in that situation, right? So I wanted to go and read Genesis chapter 3 and detail it and talk about it, and get some other scriptures as well that we have here. But just to show you, just getting some words. I don't know if we're gonna do the whole chapter, but I have it written whole chapter, but just as much as the Spirit wants us to go through. So Genesis chapter 3, it says, "Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord Yahweh had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Yahweh said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Yahweh hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die." Don't go around it. Don't touch it. Don't eat of it. And mind you, this tree it was a tree of forbidden knowledge. All right, it was not a tree with actual fruit growing on it. I mean, it might have had fruit on it, but it wasn't talking about. We don't know necessarily what type of tree it was, but it was speaking of a more metaphorical speaking, dealing with, they always say, "Oh, Eve ate the apple." It doesn't mention an apple anywhere. It talks about the fruit thereof. And the fruit was, the fruit, the knowledge. All right, the knowledge. As a matter of fact, fruits meaning. And it should give it to us. Results, consequences, effects, all right, products, advantages, benefits, outcomes, the fruits thereof, offspring, all right. Let me see. But here, actually. Fuck it. Any outcome, any consequence, outcome, or result. But yeah, the fruits there, basically like the really, it's really dealing with the things, all right, of that tree, the forbidden knowledge, all right, the fruits, all right, the forbidden knowledge, all right, you're not supposed to get a hold of, all right, and Eve wanted it anyway, all right, she just had to know, had to. It said, because it wasn't, it had everything and it wasn't good enough. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. All right, again, the woman being the weaker vessel, all right, as we know her to be, because they're easily deceived. They're easily deceived, and she was easily deceived. All the serpent had to say was, "Oh, you won't die. The Lord said you would, but no, you won't die." And that's all it took. Just that. It says, For Yahweh doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Okay, all they knew was good. This allowed evil to come in and sin. It says, And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and that's what you got to worry about, is what becomes pleasant to a woman's eye. If it's another man, if it's something wicked, all right, money, she'll do anything to get that if it's pleasant to her eyes, right? It says it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat. Right, there you go. That's how you know she did it first. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat. She ate it first, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. It says, And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord Yahweh walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord Yahweh among the trees in the of the garden. And the Lord Yahweh called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? How do you know you were naked? How do you know that? Right? We were essentially naked back then, but how are we naked? We weren't naked, right? Because we didn't know we were naked. It's hard to think of it that way. But we didn't know of sin because we weren't sinning, because the knowledge of sin wasn't around, so there was no sin. But once that whole place, sin got brought into the world. It said, and he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldst not eat? And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And that's where Adam went off. He shouldn't have, listened to the woman. That's why that going back, men listening to women has been a historical failure all throughout history. All right, starting with Adam and Eve. In verse 13, it says, And the Lord, and again, going on the same note, women not listening to men, Yahweh, right? It is always a root failure. Okay, and the Lord Yahweh said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And the Lord Yahweh said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So it's another reason why there's now animosity between and enmity. What does enmity mean?
Enmity.
All right, hostility, animosity. All right, friction. All right, that's why there's that friction between men and women now. All right, all because of Eve. All right, they say, oh, it's the man. It's always the man's fault. It was actually your fault. Okay, it was your fault. You caused this, all this to happen. All right, basically, you set forth a chain of events that put you in the position that you're in now. All right, before we had it great, water and night, everything. We had everything, and forever to enjoy it, and it just wasn't enough for you, and you ruined that. And now, now men and women fight with each other. They don't get along. All right, now you when you're in labor, all right, it's very painful to you. Now we're in this. It put forth everything. Why are we here in captivity now? Can you answer why we're in captivity now? Why we're in this punishment? Because we didn't listen to the Lord. Because why? Because we were sinning and we were being wicked and going off. Where did that sin come from? Women, Eve. Okay, everything. Babylon, Esau's rule over all of that goes back to Eve. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? Now, it needed to happen at the end of the day because that's the way the Lord, planned it to be. Okay, can't know good without knowing bad, but still doesn't make you on the right for doing that. It says in verse 16. Let me read 15 again. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Boom, instant subjection. I don't like you. Well, that's how it went. And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying that thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall shall bring it forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. Unto Adam also and to his wife did the Lord Yahweh make coats of skins and clothe them. And the Lord Yahweh said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore, the Lord Yahweh sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So they basically got expelled from that area. So, was it worth it? Was it worth it? That's the question. Was it worth it? Eve. Okay? Because it just wasn't enough. You had to have more. Okay? You had to have more. So let's get 1 Timothy 2 and 14. And I have like a little list of everything wrong that the woman did. And not everything. There's probably more if I thought about it, but just 4 things. Covetousness, all right? Because enough wasn't enough. She just had to have more, all right? She had to have more. Greed for gain, all right? That was covetousness. Lack of circumspection. She was willing to take that risk. Knowing that the Lord said, if you eat of it, you'll die, she was willing to take that risk, okay? And then, believing every word. She was being simple, all right, as we're going to get in Proverbs 14 and 15. The simple believeth every word. Okay, she was being simple, being stupid. The serpent said, oh, just, it'll be fine. Okay, I believe it. All right, and then, of course, lastly, not leastly, disobedience. She blatantly just disobeyed the Lord. The Lord said, do not eat. It doesn't matter if you would have ate it and it wouldn't have killed you. Okay? It doesn't matter. All right? But it did kill you. You say, well, no, she didn't die. It was a lie. No, that's how death came. Okay? So, in a way, yeah, that is death. All right? You will die if you eat of it. All right? Didn't say right then and there, but death will happen if you eat of it. And that's why we die now. All right? Through sin. Okay? So, disobedience. Yeah, she was disobedient to the Lord. Lord said, don't eat from this one. Don't go around this one. Don't even touch it. And she did anyway, being disobedient. Okay? So, that's 4 right off the bat. 4 acts of wickedness in one act right then and there. Okay? So, let's get 1 Timothy 2 and 14. And showing you, it says, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in a transgression. All right? Adam was not deceived. All right? So, he was compliant, but he was not deceived. Might say, well, it was worse to be compliant than to be deceived. They're both bad. All right, they're both bad. Okay, he should have not trusted the woman to eat that. All right, and she should have not, to eat of those words of the to gobble up the forbidden knowledge. And she shouldn't have been around even going. She shouldn't have even been around there, all right? But when the serpent got her, she just believed it. She just believed it. It's even the serpent, all right? And that serpent, that same type of serpent spirit that's on Esau. And that's why you got Eve and you got Esau and his pit bull, all right? The so-called black woman, Eve, all right? Because she loves going around that serpent, all right? At the end of the day. Proverbs 14 and 15 says, the simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well into The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. Now, if I go and get what simple means, wasting my time to try to highlight that when I could just type it. Simple means right here. You'll see guileless, blameless, and innocent. That's not what it's talking about. It says also means ignorant, uneducated, unsophisticated, simple-minded, and foolish. Okay, foolish, stupid, naive. Okay, it also means wretched or miserable. Okay, so again, the stupid. All right, they're just gonna believe anything. I say, oh, did you know the sky was chrome? And they're gonna say, the sky is chrome. That's crazy. I'd love to see it. The sky was not chrome. All right, but a stupid ass would just believe it right off the bat. Okay, so, and that's something that you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have discernment. All right. And that could be another one, a lack of discernment. All right. Discernment. Okay. The ability to make a smart judgment about something. Okay. And she lacked discernment. Okay. She didn't make a wise decision. Okay. Which goes back into lack of circumspection, because circumspection is being wary and unwilling to take risks. Right. But again, she just had to have more. Just had to have more. It wasn't enough. It was not enough. Let me grab a drink here. Let me look through some of these comments. Let's see. Yeah, that's another person saying negative. They both were told not to eat of it, which is why they both knew to lie about it when they were questioned. They didn't lie. What are you talking about? When did they lie? This guy AJ the Bachelor, he's a Christian, but at least he had a little bit of sense on it. He said you should read it again, talking about the chapter. It says they have it on audiobook on Spotify to make your life easy. Please do not slander the word of, you see it, he says Christ. It says, it's the word of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Know what you are saying before you say it. You have that power as a human. Yeah, people just say stuff that they don't know nothing about. It says, they didn't lie. Adam hid from the Lord when he came to them, and the Lord asked, why are you hiding? And Adam said, because I was naked and was embarrassed for you to see me. And the Lord replied, who told you you were naked? Right? So yeah, it says, Adam admitted that the serpent fooled and coerced Eve, and Eve gave him the fruit to eat. But they never lied. They never lied. You know, what are you talking about? They never lied. Let's see. Adam was still told by Yahweh himself. She said, as deceived. Yeah, but you look. The woman was essentially more at fault. Okay, the man was not blameless. He was not at guilt. All right, guilt-free. But the woman was the one that went there. The woman was the one that brought the fruit back. All right, he was wrong for being complacent, but you went there, you got it, you tried to and were successful at feeding it to your husband. You caused it, okay? You caused it. You caused it, okay? It's just like if you went to someone's house, stabbed them, killed them, went back, told your husband about it, and he said, okay, well, we got to hide the body, okay? Yeah, he's wrong for that, all right? But you did the worst thing, okay? Mind you, the Bible talks about this. I was going to close out with it, but we'll just get it now. Okay? Ecclesiastes 25 and 24, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Let me read that again. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. That brought death into the world. All right? It was forbidden. That forbidden knowledge brought death into the world through Eve. All right? Because she went and did something she was not supposed to do. Adam was wrong as well. He went off. He was in complacence with it. He was wicked as well. Okay? But he didn't go out there and search it out. Okay? He was wicked for, basically simpatry. All right? That's why, you can't be a simp and just, do everything your woman tells you. It'll get you in a bad situation. Look what happened to Adam. Okay? So that's a lesson for you men, really. For all men. Don't be like Adam. Okay, don't do what he did and just blindly trust his woman and go with it just to, I'm just gonna go with it. No, don't go with it, man. Don't go with it. Let's see. Let's see what this person says. Spirit becomes flesh. It says, my daddy once told me you can give a woman everything she needs: a house, a nice car, closet full of clothes, and plenty of love. But one thing you'll never be able to give her is everything she wants. Damn, it says, because as soon as you satisfy one want, she'll have another want, and another want, and another want, and another want, and she'll never be satisfied with enough. Damn. Damn. Good one right there. It says, waiting for more when you already have everything you can want. It's ridiculous. Some jokes just write themselves. Yeah, let's play it again.
I learned a lot about women. I think I learned exactly how the fall of man occurred in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and Adam said one day, wow, Eve, here we are, at one with nature, at one with God. We'll never age, we'll never die. And all our dreams come true the instant that we have them. And Eve said, yeah, it's just not enough, is it?
No, that's not funny.
I was just waiting for more.
No, that was kind of his point. That's kind of what he was saying.
I mean,
I learned a lot about women. I think I...
There you go. It's just not enough, is it? All right. She's so slow, she still didn't get it, which proved his point twice. It's true. It's true. Frank Lucas. God damn, I haven't heard of this motherfucker in years. God damn. It's crazy. He used to do those rap, man. He was popular a little bit back ago. Frank Lucas. He used to talk about how rappers get more violent and drugs, and not the best rapper, but he was funny. I haven't seen that name in years, man. That's crazy. But yeah, man, it's just not enough. It's just not enough with Eve. Not enough. So let's get Ecclesiasticus 5:2. How long have we been going already? And it says, and this is why, man, you can't walk according to what you want to do. All right, you got to do what's acceptable. Unto the Lord. Wanted to get that up there before I forget it. Ecclesiasticus 5:2. Follow not thine own mind and thy strength to walk in the ways of thy heart. Okay? Pretty plain, pretty simple. Want to read down? It says, and say not, who shall control me from my works? For the Lord will surely revenge thy pride. And this is kind of the same spirit in as Eve was in, right? She followed her own mind, her own strength. All right, she walked in the ways of her heart. She really wanted to see what was at that tree. Okay, and that's why a curious woman is a dangerous woman. Okay, you got to really be on lock at all times, because you just never know, man. And a lot of these women say, oh, you men are jealous. Well, yeah, we can be a little jealous from time to time. All right, our father was jealous. Is that so bad? Right? Is that so bad? Right? Lord's jealous. He was a jealous man. All right, is it so bad that we're jealous? Yeah, because we have to be jealous, man. Let's go and define what jealous means. Okay? Jealous. How the hell do you spell jealous? There we go. I know it's something weird. All right, jealous. Possessive and suspicious. Is it so bad to be possessive and suspicious? What does it mean to be possessive? What does possessive mean? All right. Possessive. Denoting possession. Okay, possessive. Really, really possessive of, the Lord's possessive of us. Okay, look, I'm your Lord. You ain't supposed to be going and messing with any of these other false gods. They're not even real. I'm the Lord. Don't be going around there. That's possessive, because we're his possession. You as women are our possession. We ain't no motherfucker. We know how that goes. Turn into the fucking Tasmanian devil as soon as that said. Yes, you are. You are as a possession. Okay? You are as a possession. What is a possession? Let's go and look that word. Possession. Okay? We'll just go back. Okay? Holding, occupying, or owning. Taking possession, occupying of all things that are possessed. Having or holding. Alright. Do we not have you? Alright. As a woman, do we not have you? Alright. In plural, goods, lands, rights owed. Alright. Owned. Yeah. So essentially, you are as unto a possession. Right? Yes. But, so possessive and suspicious. So, is it bad to be possessive and suspicious? And we should be suspicious, because you gotta be suspicious. Alright? Another. Ooh! Boom! In biblical language, early 13th century, tolerating no unfaithfulness. Jealous means tolerating no unfaithfulness. So is it bad to not tolerate unfaithfulness? No, it's not. Okay? The Lord didn't tolerate unfaithfulness. And us as men, we don't tolerate unfaithfulness. Y'all just so jealous. Why y'all so jealous? Because we have to be jealous, all right? We have to tolerate no unfaithfulness. And we have to be, where's the word? Where was it? Going back into possessive, no, right here. No, suspicious. What is suspicious? We have to be suspicious. Because a lot of you women out there are hoes. We have to be suspicious, okay? It means full suspicion, inclined to suspect or believe ill. Believe, full suspicion, ready to suspect something bad, right? Ready to suspect you're going to do something, all right? We have to be suspicious. We have to be, when we're around a bunch of men out in public and you're out there, we have to be suspicious. We have to be jealous and say, hey, get over here, all right? Stop talking to him, right? Because, why? What's wrong with talking? Because he's trying to fuck you, that's why, all right? And you women don't get that. And some of you women do understand that, but you just do it anyway. But these men out here that you're just, oh, he's my friend. He ain't your friend, all right? He's trying to get some cat, man. He ain't your friend. He's talking to you and all that. And they've already proved, they already did a study on it. Almost every single man that has a female friend they didn't ask every single man, but they asked these men, would you date that friend if you had a chance? And almost all of them said yes, okay? But the women were like, no, I wouldn't. You know, I don't think he's like that. No, if they had the chance, they would date you, all right? At the very least, not date you. They try to get some of that cat. Right? They try to get some of that box at the very least. So no, men and women cannot be friends like that. All right? Unless she's ugly as the fuck. And you know what? It doesn't even matter if she's ugly as the fuck, because the guy might be desperate and down on his needs, and she could be ugly as fuck, and he still might try to hit just because. All right? Because at the end of the day, you got a box. So no, they're not your friends. You can't just be friends. All right, you men. Oh, my girl's hanging out with her male friend. No, the fuck she's not. No, she is not, because there's. You know how many times I've known people that have been like that, or I've heard stories, not necessarily known, but knew of people online where that happens, and then what ends up happening? She ends up getting dicked down, and I don't know how it could happen. Why are you going to let your woman hang out with a whole another woman? Now, you know, if you were to say, hey, baby, I'm going to go hang out with this group of women, she would lose her fucking mind, all right? She would be out of her wits, all right? Forget it. You ain't going to hang around all these women, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, now you say, oh, you can't hang out with all, you control me? Yes, because you're going to go around those guys. You're easily persuadable. Eve was easily persuadable. They're going to say something. He's going to have on some of that nice cologne. He's got a fresh edge up or something because you're into that shit. And you're, you know, laying down. I don't know how it happened. Well, we could have seen it coming. Apparently you didn't, right? But that you're easily persuaded. So we have to be possessive. We have to be suspicious. We have to be jealous. Just as the Lord knows, he's jealous over us, and he has to be jealous over us and suspicious because, look, man, look what we do. Look how we act. Look what we do. He's right to be jealous and possessive and suspicious over us because we can't get right. He knows we're going to go and do wrong, okay? And he just, that you have, it's just like the same thing. If you know your daughter be shameless, keep her in, all right? Keep her in, roughly paraphrasing, all right? Lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. If you know she's like that, you got to watch over her extra, because you know she's going to be like that, okay? The Lord he doesn't have to. He just automatically does have 100% view on us at all times, and he watches us because he knows we're going to go off, okay? He knows we're going to go off. And again, that's why the scriptures, as far as bettering ourselves, it doesn't say never sin ever and be 100% perfect. No, it says offend less. Okay. Would he like us to offend? Never. Yes. Would he like us to be perfect? Yes. Does he understand that we're incapable of that in this state? Also, yes. Okay. We'll get that once we're in the better bodies and the laws written within our inward parts in the new covenant. Okay. Not that new covenant, you bug outs, but the new covenant let's talk about, you know, the law being written within us and, you know, after salvation comes, right? So yeah, man, it's, you have to be like that. Look, if you know, it's simple. All right, if you know how someone acts, you're going to watch out for that behavior, okay? And it's the same thing with women. We have to be jealous. We have to be possessive like that, because if we're not, you guys will abuse yourselves, okay? 9 times out of 10, 99% of women. There's those women out there that it's not the case, all right? And they're great women. More than likely, they're in this truth, all right? And they more than likely already have a husband, okay? Or they're looking for one. But 9 times, and you women, you can't get mad because we get a lot of women that they think we're talking about all women. Look, if you're a decent woman, you're not a hoe, you want one man, you love that man to death, all right, then this isn't talking about you. This isn't speaking about you at all. All right, and that's the one thing that I like to see the women get better with, because you don't see men. Well, sometimes with feminine men, you do see it happen, but I'm just as pissed off as them when they do it. But you see it more with women. That's like if we were talking about, oh, you hood rat ass men, which all you do is sell dope and chop up coke and cook up crack in the kitchen. And someone like, why are you talking about men like that? Well, well, do you chop up crack in the kitchen? No, I don't. Then why are you getting mad? Why are you getting mad? Then it's not for you. All right, if I'm talking about that dumb purple dude down the street with the green hair, you're going to get mad if you ain't that dumb purple dude with the green hair down the street walking around with a clown nose? No, you're not, because I'm not talking about you, okay? So why are you going to get mad about, oh, well, you're talking about our people? Your people are crack dealers? Well, no. Then don't call them your people, okay? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. We have higher standards, okay, over here. We hold ourselves to higher standards. At least, you know, we do. I don't know about you, but it's ridiculous, man. Okay. And then finally, this is why you got to be comfortable with just having enough. Be satisfied with what you have, as you'll hear the Elder Menatazatba say. Let enough be enough, right? And that's something I even got to learn. Let enough be enough. Okay. And that don't mean you can't get new things or nice things, but to keep it to a manageable level, right? Put limits on yourself. Okay. Put limits on yourself, and only you will know those limits. Okay, so Ecclesiastes 14:9 and 10 says, a covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion. Never enough, right? And the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. A wicked eye envieth his bread, and he is a niggard at his table. Now, what does this word niggard mean? If you watch Apostle Gabar a lot, you'll see him talk about the word niggard. It's not the same word you're thinking, Jake. All right, it's a completely different word. And it means what?
Niggard.
It means a stingy or ungenerous person. And it's one thing to be greedy. It's another thing, It's one thing to be covetous, all right? But it's another thing to be a niggard, okay? So a covetous, and it goes on to 10. So imagine being both, all right? You're covetous. You want more and more and more and more and more, all right? You want this and this and this and this and this. But then you're a niggard on top of it, and you're not even generous. Here it is, you have all this stuff, and you're not going to even be generous with it. You're going to be stingy with it, okay? A meanly, look at this, from Merriam-Webster. A meanly covetous and stingy person, okay? There you go. A mean and, you can see it right this. The words niggard and niggardly are also often misinterpreted as racial slurs because they sound like what is possibly the most offensive word in probably, I don't know, the English language or something, what it was going to say. But yeah, no, it's the same thing with like renege. Okay, what? Man, Jake, stop being so fucking simple. All right, stop being so simple. Okay, so that's how it is with covetousness people. Usually, covetous people are also niggardly. All right, they're earning for possession. They have a lot, and then they don't want to share. They want to be stingy, all right, i.e. niggardly. They don't want to give away. They want to keep it. For example, I'll give you an example of that case. You know, these influencers where they get all of these things for them for free, but then they just want to hoard them. They don't want to, my wife, she was, because she works in doing nails and stuff like that. She was telling me about this person. I guess they get, certain ladies that do nails, certain companies will send, free product and stuff like that, right? Well, the higher range women, they have all this product and they just have it. And they already have too much. And they're not doing anything but just sitting on it. They're not giving it away. They're just keeping it. All right, just to have it. That's niggardly. That is an act of niggardliness. I don't know how you would say that. Nigariousness. Let me see. What would be the I don't know if niggardliness is a word, but that would be an act, all right, of being niggardly, okay? Having all these different things, and this person, I could, really use, here it is, you got 32 barrels of water. I don't have no water. Dang, that's crazy, man. And you just keep on going on. You're being ungenerous now. Not only are you covetous, but you're being stingy. That's worse than even just being covetous by itself. Ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And that's a lot of our people. They just want more and more and more and more and more. And when they do get more, they don't even pass along the old thing down. They don't even, our people, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, yeah, man. And having everything in the world just wasn't enough for Eve. And guess what? Because these men are effeminate now, having everything in the world just isn't enough for them either. Right? Because they're liking that female spirit because they are raised by single women. Okay? Single mothers. All right? So they have that same spirit of nothing's ever enough. I gotta have more. I gotta have more. I gotta grind for that bag. I gotta grind for that bag. I gotta have more. I gotta have more. Don't you have a car? Yeah. Don't you have a house? Yeah. Don't you have like 3 diamond chains? Yeah. So you just want more? Yeah, I do. I want more. I'm trying to make it to the top. When is the top the top? Okay? A lot of you people would keep on going to the top until you could replace the Lord. That's how stingy, niggardly, covetousness, and disobedient you people are. Okay? Having enough in the world just wasn't enough for Eve. And a lot of time, not enough for Jake either. So, that's it. We're going to close out there. Lord willing, the lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Shem Yahawashi, Shemakakudash. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring. Keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing. Shalom.